Welcome, Spartans, to Podcast Evolved, part of Evolved, your home for Halo. Podcast Evolved hosts original lore series and recaps last month's Halo news. Our current series is Infinite Impressions. I am your host, Aaron, and with me today we've got Lucas.
My voice sounds so beautiful now.
It's always beautiful. Speak again so the lovely people can hear you.
It's my fancy new mic that the lovely patrons have helped me get. I appreciate all of you for that.
Podcast Evolved likes to get our dulcet tones out there, so we like to upgrade the equipment when we can.
Oh, this thing is so nice compared to like my headset. I've tested it and like listened to the recordings, and it is clearly a night and day difference. So I am 100% appreciative of this mic.
Yeah, I used to always live in like some sort of weird sense of denial that my really cheap microphone and headset and stuff sounded fine. And then I got myself a nice Yeti mic and was like, oh no, there's a night and day difference here. By the way, just for the listeners, what microphone did you get? Because someone will ask that question.
Ian actually recommended it to me. It's the Yeti X. And so I really don't know how to use it. I know how to turn it on and like change the volume on my voice. And that's about all I know how to do at the moment.
That's all right. We'll get there. We'll get you set up with Voice Meter next, and then you can do all the weird stuff.
Gosh, that'll be a rabbit hole.
We absolutely did not break your computer the last time we installed Voice Meter, but we'll fix it the next time.
Oh yes, that was you sent my computer into a tailspin, and I think I got like the super advanced version, and that's why. And I have to get like the more simplified version, or was it the other way around? I don't remember.
Yeah, there's like a middle one that's the good one, but I think the real lesson for next time is do not install new software an hour before the show. Neither of us should decide that's a good idea.
Nope, not at all.
Oh, right. Well, anyway, before we get sidetracked too far, guys, thank you for joining us. This is a live news show. Well, it's not live because Lucas has a new microphone. I've set up a new podcast space. If you hear the slight echo, it's not finished yet. I have no soundproofing, but I've got a nice standing desk. So if at any point I sound like I've wandered away from the microphone, it's because I've got distracted and wandered away from the microphone because I'm no longer sitting. So things are a little bit ropey, and I did not want to throw a live show into the mix with that. So sorry, Discord people. You just have to listen to us on the recording like everyone else.
Well, we'll get back there eventually.
We will, yes. I have great plans for this setup now. I want to eventually get on to streaming to Twitch. Ooh.
Oh, gosh.
But I will need a PC upgrade because I don't think my laptop's up to that. But we'll get there, slowly. We've got a little bit of news for this last month to cover. So we've got another preview for the Rubicon Protocol. We've got a couple of cannon fodders. We have some Halo gear, and we have some leaks. But before we get started, we will do the socials, or Oren will break my knees. If you're new to the show, welcome. Evolved hosts a variety of shows. This is Podcast Evolved. You can check out our previous lore series like The Road to Infinite and the Character Dossiers by going to the website, evolvedhalo.com. There we also host all of our other shows. We've got Mission Debrief, Builds with Blocks, Halo Book Club, Halo Headlines, and we have our new additions, Halo Gear Guide and Halo TV Plus. If you haven't listened to Halo TV Plus, now's a good time to catch up, watch the Halo show, and be ready for when the new season starts. Evolved also partners with HCS Pro Talk, a podcast where Josh and Will discuss the latest information within the Halo competitive scene with an emphasis on community every week. Go and check the guys out. They are far more knowledgeable when it comes to all things multiplayer that we don't really cover. You can learn more, like I said, from all of our shows by going to the website, evolvedhalo.com. If you're already a fan, please take a minute and go and leave us a review and a rating on your podcast service of choice. We greatly appreciate the feedback. And we'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all of our patrons. You help us do all sorts of amazing things with your contributions, like upgrade microphone equipment so that you can hear our sexy voices better.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so very much again for this wonderful mic addition.
It's nice to be able to spend a little money on things and do upgrades. Oh, we've come so far from the old days. If you are not already subscribed and would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/Halo Evolved, and there you can learn about all the rewards and perks and benefits that come from being a patron. There is unique swag, early access to episodes, access to our soundtrack, and the secret Discord channel. And occasionally I do rummage through the patrons and kidnap someone to be in the show as well. So if you're in the patron-only Discord channel, you have the opportunity to be kidnapped.
It's a fun time. It's a fun time.
If you too would like to be one of Halsey's victims, go to patreon.com/Halo Evolved and sign up today.
Oh my gosh, one of Halsey's victims. That, I mean, how many more Spartans do we actually need?
You can never have too many Spartans. That's one thing we've learned. Finally, we encourage all of our listeners to support us through Audible, where they can enjoy a growing collection of all the Halo novels all in one place, along with thousands of other guided wellness programs, other novels, and podcasty stuff as well. They do a lot of things like that too. You can go to the URL audibletrial.com/podcast evolve to learn more and start today. And if you get signed up, you can save your credit for, as of recording, I think 10 days time when Rubicon Protocol drops. So you can get the audiobook for that and listen to that as it comes out.
I think you're right. It is Tuesday the 10th.
Tuesday the 9th, I believe.
Oh, the 9th. Okay. Because I've heard it's the 31st.
It is. So you can enjoy Rubicon Protocol and listen to Scott Brick narrate some audio to you. We have Last Week in Halo. Now, I know you've got loads to talk about, so I'll just do my little bit first because I don't really have any Halo. Like I said, my last week involved a trip to IKEA that cost me far too much money to buy a load of furniture for my spare room that I redecorated and a standing desk.
I feel like every trip to IKEA is incredibly expensive, and you're like, ooh, I need this, and I need this. And you spend like 3 hours just wandering the store looking for things that you could possibly put into your home.
But sometimes I usually just limit myself to like the downstairs market section. I'll come home with like a cheese grater and some meatballs and maybe some coffee stuff like that. That's fine. But this time I roamed around the whole place and was like, no, this is the desk that I want. So I have like a nice standing desk that winds up and down, so I can make it a sitting desk if I decide I really don't like doing the podcast like this. But so far, I think I'm enjoying it. It's nice to not worry about moving around in case of squeaky chair or anything.
I hear a lot of people have those standing desks. They do like wonders, like help your posture and stuff too, because you're not slouching over as much like you would be in a chair.
Yeah, it is supposed to be very good for your back and all that. So, and to be fair, the longest we've ever gone on a show really is about 2 hours, so it's not a terrible amount of time to stand and record. It feels nice, so I got my desk and got some lights and things and tablet stands and all that sort of boring stuff, and then I dusted off my Halo Wars 2 Loot Crate mouse mat that I had sitting in the back of a bookshelf now since the Loot Crates came out. It's a nice red and white with like a pencil drawing of Atriox staring at one of the Spartan helmets. I'm finally getting to use that. That's the closest I can like string anything to being Halo adjacent. But you've got lots of Halo stuff to talk about.
I do. So the first thing, it was about last week, we had a pretty big BTB session going. We had about 7 or 8 guys in our party, and we hopped in BTB for a few hours. And I'd want to tell you that is actually a lot of fun playing BTB with a ton of people. It's just, I mean, you just mess around and stuff like that. I mean, we had people running around in warthogs and stuff like that. And we played so much, what's the game mode where you have to grab like the little boxes and bring them back to your base. And we played that so much, and I absolutely hate that game mode. We never wanted that game mode once.
I actually don't mind that one as much. That's the one with the power cores, isn't it? You have to get like 5 of them. Off the top of my head, I cannot remember the name, but I actually do enjoy that because the thing I didn't realize at first is you can chuck the power cores.
Oh yeah. You don't grab them on back. You grab one, you throw it back, and you make like a chain of like your friends and stuff like that. But like a lot of people don't do that, or like they'll sit there and they'll like play the game like it's a team deathmatch. And I feel like that's every multiplayer shooter ever. But it just can get bogged down, or you can get beat in like 5 minutes. So I'm not the hugest fan of it.
The only good thing about it is if you're playing a game where everyone's playing it like deathmatch and you can get one other person to play the objective with you, you can destroy the other team pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
That is the only kind of good thing about that game mode, is if the rest of your team do push on them, it causes all sorts of havoc. But I don't hate that one. It's not the worst. The only thing that annoyed me about it the last time was finding out that the other team, if they had power cores in transit when they respawn, they still counted, and you were like, suddenly they were 2 up. because they had to in transit between the rounds. You know the way they like when you get 5 and then they like respawn. When I was playing a game, the other team were carrying 2, and then the new set spawned, but their 2 still were there, so they got their 2 into the base, and then were immediately 2 ahead on the next wave.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that can be kind of annoying. I think maybe they should just limit the number of. That might make the game take absolutely forever if they have like 5 maximum or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't play enough multiplayer anything at the minute to really have too many hot take opinions on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was my first thing. The second thing, I just got back from Tampa Bay Comic-Con over the weekend, and so last week my buddy had this glorious idea that him and I would dress up with jeans and polos, and we wore plate carriers, and on the front of the plate carriers, mine said 343 Industries PR rep, and his said EA development team. And so we walked around the convention, and he had like blue tape, and so he'd run up to somebody and be like trying to put microtransactions on every kit we saw, and I would go up and run up and tell them we have to delay their game for 6 months to a year. And I also had this box, as a metal box, and it said 343 Industries on it. Underneath it, it said co-op release date and Forge release date. And I would just open it to emptiness. And so people would be like, oh yeah, I want the release date. And I'd open it up, and they'd sit there and get disappointed because there is no release date. And that was just we ran around the whole convention doing that. And then we had a third buddy that had Game Tester on it, and so he looked like he was beat up, and we put some fake makeup on him, and we would like be like, oh, go patch this guy up if the costume didn't look great. And so we ran around the convention doing that, and it was a lot of fun.
I saw the photographs. They did look very good. I also saw a photograph of you with some very shady looking podcaster. Who was that?
I did. Krista. I actually met Krista. And it took, because Tampa Bay Comic-Con is like, I think the biggest, and MetroCon might be bigger, but it's one of the biggest in Tampa. And so like we were on the floor, and she was at one end and I was on the other. And I was like, oh, we'll meet in the middle. And we never met in the middle. And then we tried to meet at the food place, and it was Florida, so it was too damn hot. And then we eventually met up like 3 or 4 hours later. And so I got to meet her, and I met Trent too. He was there.
I've heard rumors Trent does exist, yes.
He does exist. He did exist that day. It was a little quiet, but he did exist. So it was nice to finally meet her. And I think her and I are going to the HCS event in Orlando in September. So that'll be a fun time as well.
Look at this. Podcast evolved. Making podcasts and friendships. There we go.
Friends on the internet.
And as everyone knows, you should always go and meet your internet friends in real life, because that's totally safe.
It's worked out for me so far. Like, she's not the first. I had a friend who we met, and he lived in Pennsylvania, and he lives in Texas now. But for a while, he actually moved down to Florida and lived with a few of my buddies in Orlando. And like, we met him on playing video games and stuff like that. And he's one of the closer friends that we have. So like, sometimes it works out, but you know, obviously occasionally, sometimes you get really creepy dudes that like want to take advantage of you and stuff like that. So
as long as no one gets murdered, that's the important thing.
That is the important thing. So the last thing on my Halo thing, I did a lot of Halo things this week, was after going to the convention, there was a few people in ODST kits, and it got me on this. I've been wanting to buy an ODST like kit or make one, and so I finally bit the bullet like today, and I bought a whole bunch of ODST stuff, and so I have to cut it out and like put it together, but it's like all the foam and all the plastic pieces, and I bought, it's like the replica of the Halo Infinite assault rifle, so I'm really excited to put it all together and go to a convention next year with it.
Ooh, that does sound good.
It was a lot of money. Let's just say that.
I've had the occasional urge to, like, I've said this on the Discord before, but every so often I'm like, I could buy a 3D printer and totally print myself something cool. And then the evil people in the Discord tried to encourage that thought. Thankfully, I think I got past it, but it was a tense 2 months. But every so often I'm like, I want to do that.
I have friends with a 3D printer and a laser engraver, And so that's how we got all like our patches and the stenciling on the box. And I was looking at, originally I wanted to get, there is an airsoft version of the Halo 3 assault rifle, but it is $900 to buy because they don't make them anymore. And I was like, I am not going to spend $900 on an airsoft gun. Like, no, thank you. That's a little too much money. But so I went on Etsy and I was thinking about 3D printing, like maybe the ODST's SMG or something like that. But but like my buddy's 3D printer isn't really big enough to do it. So I just bought the Halo assault rifle and it was only like $200, which is it's a lot better than $900.
No, at the very least now you can buy, like, a lot of the Nerf stuff is at the stage where if you were pretty good at painting, like, you can have a pretty quality looking replica prop gun. I always wanted to, like, build a DMR and just strip the guts out of an airsoft rifle and build them into it and just be like, that would suit me down to the ground.
A lot of people do that with the, it's called the MP, it's an MP7, it's a little submachine gun, and they do that a lot with that and turn it into this SMG, because it kind of looks very similar. It's got the folding, like, front grip thingy, and it doesn't have the same magazine, but you just kind of attach 3D parts to it, and a lot of people do that. Or I've seen a lot of people on I think they use a Glock, maybe. I don't know. I don't know exactly what gun, the airsoft gun they use, but they put a bunch of 3D print in. It looks like the Halo Reach pistol. So I've seen some really good attachments to airsoft guns.
Yeah, I've seen a few over the years. I think the last one years ago, one of my friends there was a kit to modify I think one of the SOCOM airsoft guns and turn it into Snake's gun from Metal Gear. You could strip it down and add different casings and parts to it. So that was like the first time I went like, oh, you can do that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, because a lot of the guns from like the Solid Snake universe are like modern fire, or at least firearms that have existed. So there you can take something that looks very close to it and modify it enough where it works with the universe. Compared to Halo, where it's all fictional firearms and a lot of things are like 3D printed and attached around it.
Well, on that note, anything else before we jump into the news?
Nope, that is all the Halo things I've done in the last week.
All right, well then we will jump in. We actually have a fair bit of news looking through the script here. Now, not all of it's big stuff, but we'll go through them. First up, we have a second preview for the Rubicon Protocol. This is Chapter 8 of Rubicon Protocol. I think we got Chapter 1 the last time. Now, I did not read Chapter 8, but it is up on Waypoint. You can read it or listen to the audiobook clip cut out for it. But I'm going to save myself because it's 10 days until the actual book comes out. So if you want to go and have a look, it's at the last time I checked, it was the top listed news item on Waypoint. So you can go and listen to that. I'm going to assume something juicy happened between chapters 1 and 8, that they skipped those.
I would assume so as well. I did not listen to it either. I didn't even know they released that. This is my first time hearing about it actually right now. So I will probably wait as well because, again, like you said, it's 9 days.
There is also, I believe, going to be, I think I read that there will be a preview 3 in a cannon fodder just before it comes out as well. So you can probably go and look at that as well. I'm going to save myself. I've got 10 days, so that's all it's going to take. Next up, we have Alpha Pack. Now, at the time we're recording this event is almost up. I believe it's the 2nd of August it finishes. This is old news at this stage, but it was basically the second of the Lone Wolves event. It was Last Spartan Standing on Breaker, Deadlock, High Power, and Fragmentation. It was 10 more unlocks for the Rakasha Core. There was a tactical clippy weapon emblem that was available as the weekly reward, but they really, I don't know how they missed a trick not making Clippy an AI. Like, that seems like a no-brainer. Why was he not an AI?
They still haven't put anti-dot in, so maybe at some point, because this is not the first Clippy that they've put in as a keychain. This one is different because it's not just a normal one. He's got a Marine helmet on.
Yeah, I do think he needs the Virgil treatment, and I'm telling you, there'd be nothing better than a game of big team, and as you run around shooting going, I see you're trying to kill Spartans. Would you like some help with that?
That would be funny.
He writes all his own dialogue. Like, it's right there. He's the perfect character to just have as a little AI to chat away to you.
Absolutely. Actually, that reminds me of when you use Virgil and you use him as your AI. And I always laugh when I run somebody over, and it's like civilian. He talks about like 100 points for like running over a civilian or something like that. And I always chuckle when he makes comments about that, because just people have dark humor, and it's like, oh yeah, how many points are you going to hit for running that old lady over? So it always gives me a chuckle when I hear Virgil say something like that.
Yeah, I like it. Like, you can imagine Clippy with his little helmet on and all, like, popping up to take the point and everything. It would be great. Hopefully down the line we get that. 343, please listen to me. It's a moneymaker. I will buy it.
Absolutely. Other than that, so they changed some of the last Spartan standing like weapon order. So it doesn't start out with the pistol. You start out with the disruptor pistol. And I think they got rid of the mauler. And at the end, after the BR, they added the energy sword in. So they added definitely, it's a little different, and I can see, or my bad, not the Mauler, the Mangler, but I can see why they tried to do it, because the pistol is incredibly OP in that game mode. And so they wanted to make it a higher tier weapon.
Yeah, I think like it was a lot of people hanging on and not doing the upgrade when they could.
I absolutely was one of those people.
Yeah, I just spent a lot of my time swearing at that game mode, so that's probably for the best. And I haven't played any Xbox lately, so this event completely skipped me by now, but...
There was some nicer things. The nice thing about it is whenever you got one of the challenges, you got 2 upgrades. So like over the 2 weeks, you just needed to get 5 challenges, and that is a lot less difficult than getting 10 challenges done.
Yeah, I still think the biggest change they need to make is the challenge things need to be in their own separate feed. You need to be able to knock those out without having to knock through the other weekly challenges as well.
Absolutely, 100%.
You don't have a lot of time to devote to these things, but, you know, I could, in theory, jump on and knock out 5 challenges an event. I know they want to make an event last a bit longer, but it's not the end of the world, I think, sometimes, but we'll see how the next one goes.
Only time will tell.
So, next up, we have Cannon Fodder issue 129, and that's Eklund's Ensemble. It's Eklund, isn't it? That's how we're pronouncing that?
I think that's how it's pronounced.
That's fair enough. So, this contains field lore from the Lone Wolves armor for Spartan Sigrid, Eklund. So, we got lore, which is basically diary style Halsey diary sketches with a little bit of lore info, a paragraph or so on the various things. So we've got the Morrigan helmet, which is enhanced with a banished combat sensor. We have the CMA SN5 Type 11 shoulders, and that's basically the lore is beggars can't be choosers, and all this gear's out in the field. And we have the Trapmaster's map device, which is basically a forearm mounted cartographer / threat sensor. We get lore on all of those. We also get our 3rd intel drop for season 2. So if you remember back now, they're doing they're only usually a paragraph or 2 on Waypoint. The first one we had it's 2 representatives from the Lux Voluspa Corporation, I think it is. And I think it's a corporation, it's a private company. And they were basically talking about how the Banished have discovered that humanity have expanded the pool for the AI donor program, and they have made an AI from an alien brain. And this is where Iritus came from. Drop 2 is Agrina. She's talking about how they've managed to split off fragments of the Iritus AI, and that's how you have your justification for the AI when you're playing competitive, that you can equip yourself. It's just a sheared off fragment. And then drop 3 is a brief communication between Musa and June. It's on the 11th of December 2554, and it's discussing the redeployment of Spartan Eklund to a new undertaking, which I figure is the Headhunter team. They're talking about a more independent role.
Yeah, with her and like the other Spartan she brings in, like the trailer of the Lone Wolf, so I'm assuming they're like a Headhunter team.
that was my guess as well. There were a few names and details there. A very brief Google search didn't reveal anything, but
Maybe it's hints for the future.
could be as well. Yes, there's names and stuff mentioned there of operations and that, so we might get more down the line. Right, what else did we get in the cannon fodder? We got lore. Now, this is slightly older lore that we got. It's on the Yushnimaru Pattern Void Piercer ship. Now,
I'm glad you took that one.
yeah, if you're thinking what the hell that is, those are the ships on the cover of Broken Circle. As well as this little bit of lore on where those ships came from, the short version is they are the first joint venture ship between the Sangheili and the Sangseum at the formation of the Covenant, which is what the book Broken Circle covers. But they also give us the artwork for Broken Circle without all the book print on it, so you get a nice... It's a very nice piece of art, just the ships and the disassembling shield world and all. But that's basically just a little bit of lore on those ships, and then there's a few community Q&A questions as well. Nothing terribly exciting there, but you can go and have a little read and look at the pretty artwork if you want.
I'm really surprised that it took them this long to like name those ships and make them at least give lore on them.
Yeah, I feel like Broken Circle, because it was just a standalone one-off book, I feel like a lot of people sort of forget about it and it's off on the side. Like, it's a good book. It doesn't really connect into modern Halo in any way. It's just backstory.
Yeah, and it does give some backstory of the Great Schism, but really it's very its own thing, and it doesn't really tie into much. It references a bunch though.
Yeah, like it very, very lightly ties into the current time period when it gets there, but you don't even get much in the way of, there's no big cameos or anything else, so... But it's a good book. It's definitely worth a read. Right, up next we got Halo Gear Rewards. So this is a new program, I suppose would be the best way to say it, that 343 are running. You're going to get access to Halo Gear Rewards, and they will be available through the Xbox Gear Shop. They will become available to players that completes specific accomplishments within Halo Infinite. Although I suppose this could extend out to Master Chief Collection as well, because they don't specify. So they could do both down the line.
Absolutely.
The current reward is the Entrenched Tanker Jacket. When I checked on the store today, it's currently available for £97,000.
I assume that's for a very good reason, so people don't buy it.
It is, yes, although there's probably some lunatic out there who will buy it out of badness. But the way this is going to work is, if you complete the Entrenched Event Pass, you will get a code through Waypoint through your notification system, and you will have the option to then go to Waypoint, enter that code, or go to the gear store and enter the code, and buy the jacket for $125, instead of a mortgage for a small house.
They're not going to give any discount or anything like that. I feel like, oh yeah, you completed the event, not just, hey, you have access to it.
You don't think $96,000 of a discount is enough?
I mean, that jacket must be plated in solid gold if it's that much. It's really worth that much.
I think they're aiming for the exclusivity factor with it, so pretty much the only way to do it is to complete your season pass. So you complete your season pass, you can order the jacket. You have to complete the event before the 1st of November this year, so 1st of November 2022, and then order your jacket, and the website says they will then ship on Q1 of 2023. So they're obviously waiting to see how many people complete the event and go to order a jacket before they make any. So if you want that jacket, you have until November to complete your event challenge or complete your Entrenched Pass and get your code and get it ordered. Not really my taste in jacket.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to get one either. I'm not really big into getting, besides doing the cosplays and stuff like that, I really don't get many video game articles of clothing, so...
No, the only video game articles of clothing I have came with my loot crates. So I have it's a t-shirt like a Fight Night poster, and it's for the Great Schism, and it has an unidentified Elite and Brute, which I assume is... It's not the Arbiter. Well, it could be the Arbiter, I suppose. And why have I blanked on the Brute in Halo 2?
Tartarus?
Tartarus. It's not Tartarus, it doesn't have his mohawk, but It's Brutes versus Elite. It's a nice t-shirt. I like that one. But apart from that, I don't think I've never gone out and gone, I just need to buy me some video game themed clothing.
No, that's like you go to like Hot Topic or Spencer's and they have all those t-shirts there. And I'm just like, no, thank you. I do have a pair of dog tags from Outpost Discovery. And those will actually go very well with my ODST kit when that comes in.
Ah, very nice. The one thing I did buy from back in the day is I have a set of cog tags.
Oh, those are nice. I always wanted a pair of those.
Yeah, they're a nice, heavy, little weighty set of cog tags, so I have them sitting away in storage somewhere. I used to have a really nice Halo 3 t-shirt back in the day that I bought out of... That would have been HMV back in the day when they still existed. Records, t-shirts, and posters was about their main business, but I haven't bought anything in recent time. Actually, going back to what we did in Halo, I ordered Podcast Evolved t-shirt today randomly.
Oh.
Yeah, we sell merch if you want some merch.
I will have to go. I've seen it, but I haven't really gone and bought anything yet. I guess I'm going to have to go buy something now. Maybe I'll bring it to another convention.
Yeah, we have the US store, but we also have a UK offshoot as well. Now, there's less merch available on the UK one, but I think you can order off the US one and have it shipped over here anyway. But they did like a nice light grey to dark grey faded t-shirt, so it's dark grey at the shoulders and fades down and just has the evolved with the helmet logo written across the front of it. So I was like, I'm going to get one of our t-shirts. So I did that today. But that's the only clothing I have then. But you can do that. So like I said, 1st of November, get your thing completed, get in there, get it done. Right, next up, we are not going to cover this in great detail because you can read it yourself and save me reading it out to you, but it is Cannon Fodder 130, and it is cutting room lore, and as you can guess from our previous news shows, this is all the lore regarding the mods that are being worked on for Master Chief Collection. So we've got lore on the vehicles, the weapons, we've got some on the beasties and animal life as well. It's worth a little bit of a read. I flicked through all of them. You get there's a couple of new vehicles and stuff there. The Kestrel is probably like the most unique one.
The Kestrel is like the predecessor to the Wasp. That's what I was reading it. And it also makes all of these like vehicles, they give them like a lore background. So like they all actually being added to the lore?
Yeah, they are. Like, even though they're mods and they never made it into the final game, they all get like a lore grounding in the universe. So, like, for the most part, it makes sense. You know, if you go with, okay, the Kestrel is like the low-tech predecessor to the Wasp, then that makes sense. You have the civilian vehicle, that's fine because, you know, you're never going to interact with that really outside of the mods in the game. The Mongoose is the Mongoose, so that probably makes sense as well. Like, we have Blind Wolves, they've been brought back into the lore, so they technically exist already. So, yeah, these things have just been grounded into the universe with a lore reason for their existence, and none of them are really too out there, apart from, like, I'd say the most out there one's probably the gravity gun.
Really, you think so? I thought the most out there one would be the freaking M700 Viper, the stealth tank. Like, I don't think those two words, like, go together. Stealth and tank, like...
You don't think the big giant gun that makes things go explodey would be stealthy?
I mean, maybe you could put a silencer on it. I don't know. It'd be a really, really big silencer.
You just shoot once and then you stealth away really fast. And that is basically the lore reason in the universe, or the lore explanation behind it. It's like, yeah, this is like the run and gun tank, and then the Scorpion became the frontline battle tank because it's more heavily armored. And I'm like, okay, well, that I can kind of see that.
That kind of reminds me of they're going off game, but in Mass Effect, when you get the Mako and it's got the big freaking cannon on it, it's super loud and armored up. Can imagine it as a Scorpion, and then in the second and third game, you get the little Hammerhead, which is like this quick little like vehicle, and it's got power, but the thing has like paper thin armor, and you blow up in about like 30 seconds.
I can see it, yeah. But it is nice to have a little bit extra lore in the universe. Unless they bring these to the console version, I'm never going to see them, so it won't be too much of an issue.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope they bring it to the console version. That would be awesome to see them, and everybody gets to see them.
Yeah, like they have other mods available on the console. You can go and download the Skyrim mods and stuff and install those in your game. So I would like to see this as well. Right, what have we got next? So we have a little tiny bit of information on the second drop pod. If you remember, 343 have discussed how they're going to be updating Infinite going forward. They have drop pods. This is going to be a mid-season update for the game. So Unishek sent out a little tweet teasing it. He said it's going to be dropping in August. He doesn't specify when. And he hints that cross-core visors are going to be coming in this update. And you may be sitting there going, what is a cross-core visor? It's exactly what it sounds like. You're going to be able to equip these visors on any of your armor cores. They won't be limited to one. And we're hoping that this is going to be the first step towards what 343 said they were going to do, which was look into cross-core armor.
One step at a time. Absolutely one step at a time. So I saw some things on Reddit where they were like talking about how a handful of the visor cores are all differently named, obviously for the different core, but they look exactly the same. And like some of them, if people paid for them, are they going to like get credit back for their armor core purchase, or are they just, or maybe they'll change the one of the names to look a little different?
I think the easiest thing, well, probably the handiest way to keep everyone happy is to just go, there's some free credits, but I imagine they'll tweak them slightly, or maybe it will only count going forward. Maybe this will, if they turn around and say going forward, all the visors are going to be cross core, but your old ones are trapped. You're like, I suppose I can live with that. And the same with the coatings and stuff. Like if they turn around and say, right, going forward, your coatings are going to apply to every armor core. I can live with that. I know it'll be a little bit of it'll rub people the wrong way slightly, in that I know there's people out there just salivating to go, I want my Spartan Samurai Fracture Core Reach ensemble combined together.
Well, I mean, they said that they weren't going to combine canon cores with the non-canon cores. So like things like that. And that makes sense, obviously. But I just want the Lone Wolf, one of the Lone Wolf armor coatings is like a camouflage, and I would absolutely love to put that on my Reach Spartan or my Mark 7 Spartan. That would look really, really cool.
I do think it would be nice to pick and mix a little bit of Mark 7 and Reach armor together, so it would be cool. So we'll see how this goes. Like we said, it'll be in August. We don't have any more details at the minute, but we do have some more details of other things in Infinite. There have been a series of Forge leaks. There are quite a few videos doing the round. I had a little look. I found one or two. Lucas also found some as well, so we'll go down the list here. The first one I discovered made probably the biggest headlines was that someone has basically built the apartment layout from PT in the Forge mode. They even have like the creepy sort of staticky sound effects and noises and stuff. It looks quite good when you look through it, but the only difference is you're roaming through the PT apartment with a handgun.
Do you think that they will add Flood to Forge, and like you play that game in that little apartment against the Flood? That would be terrifying.
In a crazy world, I would like them to add AI enemies programmable to Forge mode. I don't know, because we don't have Flood in campaign, I don't know that we would get Flood necessarily in Forge straight away, but at the very least, your banished opponents, like you go through that apartment with cloaked elites or something.
Oh, that would be terrifying.
Just stalking you, whatever it is. That sort of thing I would maybe see for now, but I would love to see programmable enemy AI, because I imagine that's like the next step up for this. I've said it before, I still have my crazy theory that I believe the training level in the academy could be Forge built, and all those little marines that like shuffle around and stand about the place could be placeable objects.
I can definitely see that.
If you can drop some AI in or set waves up or whatever, stuff like that would be cool. You could just build your own whatever. So that would be my like absolutely out there hope for it. I haven't seen anything like that in the videos so far. The second video I came across was a remake of COD's map Shipment.
I can't really imagine that being played well in Halo, because in Call of Duty, you have a terribly quick time to kill, and you literally spawn, shoot somebody in the face, and die immediately. So in Halo, I feel like that would be, it'd be reminiscent of, there's literally those custom games in Halo 3 where literally you just spawn. It's almost like Fiesta, but you spawn in like a tiny square and you just like try to kill each other. So it might end up like a good Fiesta map.
Yeah, I feel like if you put tactical Slayer rules on it or something in a nice small tight map like that, quick one-hit kills and shit might actually work all right. The third one then that you discovered before we started recording was someone has also made a recreation of Lockout.
Yes, they. So I guess so far you're not allowed to save whatever you made, and so the guy took 22 hours and created Lockout, and it's on Twitter, and it shows like the progress he made, and it's the old Halo 2 Lockout, not the Halo 3 Blackout level. So it has all like the vegetation and stuff in it. And it looks really, really good. It looks absolutely fantastic. So hoping that he can at some point make it again and save it, or it ends up on a community file share of something like that. That's one thing once Forge comes out they need to add is like a community file share like they did in Halo 3 so people can find all these awesome game modes.
Yeah, you absolutely need to be able to hunt this stuff out and get it and save it. And you need more than 6 save slots as well. If we have unlimited cloud storage for game saves, we need quite substantial cloud storage for community maps and our own maps and stuff.
This is not 2007, Aaron. I think they would be able to put more than 6 options.
I know they're capable of it, but sometimes I worry that companies go, maybe we won't. And let us please hope they do not turn around and tell me I'm going to need a USB thumbstick to plug into the console to save my maps to or anything.
Oh, jeez. That would be a bad.
I remember making Forge maps and taking them on my Xbox 360 memory card to my friends.
I never did that. We should always you can upload them to the that file share system, and so I never made enough to like make that limit. But
I had terrible internet, so I just had to take them on my my memory card. I can't even remember what it was back then. I think I paid like a small fortune for like the 20 megabyte card or something.
But like also what happened is like say if like me and my buddies were playing and I found a really cool game mode and I would invite them all and then they could eventually download it because like they download, it's almost like a temporary file that has that game mode in it, and then they could just download it when they were done, so they didn't have to go to a file share or anything like that. So we did that a lot of the times in order to transfer map modes and game modes to each other.
Yeah, but I think definitely now massive storage, massive saving, a fantastic file search, lots of good tagging and stuff, all that needs to be done. And even ideally all through their nice mobile app, that's the way to go. I need to be able to click on a link, open my mobile app, and tell it save that to my console, because that's the way everything works now, so fingers crossed. There was also, I did see someone else remade Battle Creek as well.
I think I've seen that one as well. And that would be a really cool one if they remade a lot of like the old maps and you got like a sand trap.
Do you know what I miss as a map? High Ground. I like High Ground a lot.
High Ground is the one with the silos?
Yeah, it's the Halo 3 one where you can spawn at like the hill or the bottom of the hill at the water and work your way up it and all. I like that map.
Yes. And it's got the like the destroyed bunker on the left side and you kind of like walk through it. Okay.
Yeah, the gate in the middle and all, and I did quite like that map.
That would be a good one. No, I don't remember level I'm thinking of what it's called, but it is in Halo 3 where they have like the 2 bases with like the bunkers in them and you can like open and close the doors. And in the background, there's like giant radio dishes.
Oh, yes. Is that Landfall?
Might be. It could be. I can't put my finger on it at the moment.
A quick look here, and it seems like Standoff is the map we are thinking of.
Oh, yes, that is the one. And that one would be awesome to remake in Halo Infinite, especially if you can get the doors working.
Standoff was always a good fun map. I liked some of the people used to build some very dumb shit off the cliffs in Standoff. You get like weird game types. I'm pretty sure I played there was like a Donkey Kong-esque mode at one point where they had the platforms layered up with a fence around it, and the fuel cells would like spawn at the top and drop down the platforms, and you had to make your way up it without being exploded.
Yes, I've played that one. Or like they had like a few race ones with the mongoose on that level. And that was before Sandbox came out.
They were all good. No, I would love to see some of that stuff, so we'll see what happens with it down the line. Now, moving on from this, we have another, I suppose, update adjacent thing. 343 have come out and said there will be no online matchmaking for Halo Infinite co-op campaign. Now, I have the quote and then we'll talk about it. So, the quote is, online matchmaking will not be available with with final co-op. We encourage you to continue to use Halo looking for games and the new Discord voice call feature on Xbox to find players to party up with as you continue playing the beta. Now, we talked about this. I actually couldn't remember until I discussed it with a few people that Halo Reach had campaign matchmaking. But I believe that's the only one that came with it, because Halo 5 didn't, and Halo 4 didn't, if I'm right.
That's the only one that reminds me. And like, I don't really understand why people are getting upset over this. It's like, who actually goes and plays co-op games with random people? Like, you only want to play that game with your friends because it's probably going to be a person without a mic and they're probably going to do something you don't want to do. So you're not going to have an enjoyable experience.
No, it's a weird one for people to be upset about. Like, I get it. Co-op should have been out when the game launched and it's taken them forever. They're almost there, but like, not for the faintest moment did I ever think, oh, they're going to put campaign matchmaking in this. Like, it never even entered my mind. I forgot it existed in Halo Reach. If I go to play a co-op, I play a co-op with friends, or I jump in the Discord or something and I ask someone. I've never actually done the looking for games, looking for groups, whatever it is thing, but I suppose that's there too.
Yeah, I hear that's really big for Sea of Thieves. I have a buddy who does that, and like to get a big group of people for Sea of Thieves, but I've never tried that. I've never even considered wanting to do it because I just would rather play games with my friends. And if I want to play with random people, it's probably I'm going to be shooting at them.
And also, I suppose it's worth dropping in here that while we were at it, they are currently testing in beta form Discord voice chat through Xbox. So if you're in our Discord or you're in your own or whatever, you could play with your friends on console and PC and chat in a Discord channel and with non-Discord people as well.
I am 100% okay with this because Discord is the superior VoIP platform instead of using like Xbox Live or even using Game Chat, because we tried, 2042, and I know that's blasphemy hearing that terrible game. But no, we tried it with a few of my buddies on PlayStation. I had a PC and my other buddy on Xbox, and we couldn't hear each other through the in-game voice system because of how broken it was. So we just all jumped on Discord, and we do that with everything.
My only worry with Discord is that Discord does not like us Irish people. Me and David tend to be probably the worst sound quality out of the Discord people, but it's still good to have. Like, I see no downside to that. We will hopefully get that out of beta soon and we can give that a go. But I think there's enough ways to find people. Like, if you don't have anyone to play Halo with, you can find some people.
Absolutely.
Right. Going on from this, we've got one last thing here. So, people have managed to get Halo Infinite running on the Steam Deck.
I'm not surprised. Like, the Steam Deck, if I remember correctly, is a Linux-based operating system. So it's very open-ended, and I'm surprised it took them this long to get it working on the Steam Deck.
343 basically said, with the anti-cheat, it's a no-no, you can't do it. But when I looked at it, someone said it was due to updated drivers on SteamOS or something that they were able to get it to work. It's a little bit ropey, said the sound clips out occasionally and things can be a little touch temperamental, but it mostly works.
Is MCC working on the Steam Deck? Because I know you can play MCC like normal mode, and then you can play it in like non-normal mode with like mods and stuff. At least on PC you can play it like two different modes.
I'm fairly certain that within minutes of the Steam Deck coming out, someone might have had Master Chief Collection running on it. Like, I would be nearly sure I've seen videos of that, but I think that's a much easier ask to get like even just the campaigns running on it.
Absolutely. I mean, I can just imagine taking a shit and playing Halo 2 or Halo 3 or something like that. That is every man's dream.
No, you would die of paralysis because you'd never get up off the toilet. That's what would happen.
You get one of those really comfy toilet seats, so then you never have to worry about that.
I don't want that on my like cause of death with the pathologist going like, well, what happened? Well, he was having a really good game of Halo 3 and he tried to stand up and his legs didn't work and he fell through the shower. That's not what I want.
Oh.
That's a step too dangerous, but the rest of it I'm kind of up for. Well, that's not all of our news. There is one more thing I just want to mention here. There was an announcement made this week from Halo Canon. Ian is taking a break from YouTube pretty much permanently. He says it's a goodbye, but not a farewell. He's still probably going to do a little bit of Halo stuff for funsies and that, but he is drawing a line in the sand and bringing to an end the Halo Canon journey as it currently stands. And we've had the pleasure of having Ian on the show before. He's an incredibly knowledgeable Halo person and he's really fun to talk to and record with. And I've always liked his YouTube stuff. And I just wanted to give him a shout out.
Yeah, I mean, I have watched him. That he is actually how I ended up listening to you guys. Was he recommended you guys? So, like, I was incredibly disappointed. But it's understandable why he's taking a step back. I mean, he was saying how he's pretty much been doing it nonstop for almost 9 years. So, like, he's probably incredibly burnt out. And so his reasoning was 100% understandable. And I, absolutely wish him the best. And I hopefully we'll get to talk to him at some point in the future, but if not, but he's someone I would have absolutely loved to pick his brain about Halo stuff with.
We feel it ourselves, like even here at Evolved, we have been taking a bit of a backseat for a while and a bit of a break, and you'll notice the podcast content has slowed away down, and that's because I think almost all of us, with the exception of Lucas, who has new guy enthusiasm, which is fantastic, because he will carry us for a little while, but we all just sort of had to sit back and take a bit of a break and be like, okay, we need a little time with a bit less Halo. So I absolutely 100% get it. You do it for so long and then some days you go, I just need to do something else. Ian has decided that means no longer doing Halo Canon full time and being in the trenches online with people and their opinions and the rest of it. This is one of the reasons why I try not to pay too much attention to what the community think, because it would absolutely drive me insane. I would get far too invested in it, and I just have to keep that all at a bit of a distance. It's sad news, but like you said, Ian does fantastic videos. He does great Halo stuff. I've enjoyed all of it over the years. Anytime you want to come and talk Halo, Ian, you are more than welcome on the show. There will always be a rotating guest chair you can jump in on. Anything you want to talk about, go mad. We always welcome you here.
Even if it's Bionicle. I'm sure the Builds the Block guys would love to talk more Bionicle with you guys.
No. Shh. Don't say that. No, absolutely. I think Colin and the guys would more than enjoy that as well. I know a certain Jurassic Park, someone that would enjoy that. Hope you're listening, Tom. I'm giving you a name drop. If you don't mention this when you listen to this later and come and tell me you heard me give you a name drop, I'll know you're not listening. Right, well, that's a sad note to end the news on, but that's all of our news for this week, or this month. I don't think there was anything else exciting. As is the way, I will edit this show next week, and then something massive will happen, because something massive always happens right after you record the news. Next up, you're going to take us through some Community Evolved stuff.
Or again, like I've said before, we have a Monday question. Every Monday, I post at about 10 a.m. on the Facebook group. So if you would like to come join the conversation, please do. So my question that I posted was, what is your favorite Covenant race and why? And so we got a handful of answers. And so I guess we'll just go back and forth like we usually do.
That sounds fine with me. Do you want me to go first?
Yes, let's have you go first because you were the last comment as well.
First up, we have Nathan Jacobson, and he says that the brutes are true monsters. I remember reading Stomping on the Heels of a Fuss in Halo Evolutions. That story was gruesome, and it was the first piece of lore I'd really seen about the brutes' true nature. They are my favourite because, besides a few obvious exceptions, members of the species are the most savage and reckless collective group in Halo. They are easy to dislike, which makes them satisfying to fight. I think that's a valid point.
I think that's a valid point.
Like, they probably are more terrifying than anything else in Halo, bar maybe the Flood.
Yeah. They remind me so much of the Krogan. Like, they are like the Halo version of the Krogan. Not as armored, but definitely the, species that, like, nuke themselves to oblivion, essentially, before they were discovered by other races. Next, we have Colin. I wonder who that guy is. He said the Sangheili. He said they have the most interesting lore, and they are the most fun to fight. And I actually, in my opinion, I would agree with Colin on the Sangheili, especially with the lore and with the Arbiter and the Shipmasters. And I think they are a very awesome race to dive into, especially like we said earlier, Broken Circle deals a lot about the elites and the prophets. Very good book to read.
Our next one here is Dickie Keys. He says Hunter Worms. I think there's so much potential. If they can help power a Scarab, I'd love to see what kind of boss fight you could have with a Hunter pair that morphs together or something. That would be cool, because like we have much more versatility with the Hunters now since we've had Halo Wars. So we have giant Hunters, we have Scarabs.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dickie, they might not have Hunters that combine together, but you have, what is it, the Hive in Halo 2 or Halo Wars 2, which is like that absolutely massive Hunter.
The big guy. Yes, the Colony is the name of the boss enemy, and I think Goliaths, is that the name of the big hunters? But I think Colony is the boss enemy in Halo Wars 2.
Colony is the one I'm thinking of.
But like, there's so much potential. You imagine fighting hunters and they combine together into kind of like Transformers combining together into bigger Transformers. Like, that's really what you want.
I can imagine other vehicles. Like, what if they made like a hunter like tank? Like, that's not the Scarab, but it's more like a Wraith or something like that. But it's a hunter tank. I don't know. I think that would be cool too. Or something that can fly. Like hunters giving hunters like a jetpack. That would be terrifying.
I'm thinking like a nice four-legged hunter with two pairs of arms that can cover you from all sides and the weak spots above. Hunters with no back.
I'd be okay with that.
I'm thinking crazy things. Like, you can go full on. Like, anything you can do with the Flood, you can almost do with a hunter. You can have arms wherever. You can have guns wherever. You can change it all up. Or you can even just have the wave of hunters like Nightfall. Like, why not just have a wave of worms, If you're on the ground, you're going to get eaten. Stuff like that. Like, that would be good in Halo Infinite, because you've got the grapple shot, so you have a chance to escape and get out of the way of a sea of hunter worms. So there's a lot of potential there.
Next we have George, and he said the Huragok. Cute names, plus they're adorable dogs with PhDs in engineering. And I think the Huragoks are a very sad race, considering they had bombs strapped to their chests for a majority of their existence until recently.
Yeah, they are, but they are like a lovable creature. I think with the amount of face time you get with them, especially in the Kilo 5 books, they just become real characters in their own right. And I like that about them, so I totally get that. Plus, they could work on my car for me, and that would be nice.
That would be lovely. They could probably make your car even better. They could probably make it not even need gasoline. Water-based car.
Water-based car, or some sort of nuclear fusion car that never stops. I let them go mad. Or an invisible car, because they can make invisible metal, so they can do whatever. Although invisible car might be a bit high on the insurance premium, so I'll have to think about that again. Right, the next one we have here is Jonathan Nance. He says the Grunts. The Ungoi Rebellion is a great piece of lore, and I really wish we had a book or books that dive more into that. I would absolutely be down for a Grunt book.
We don't have one. They talk a lot of it in Legacy of Onyx, especially with the little Grunt children. But yeah, they have almost no like dedicated story for them.
we get the grunt lead in the flood. We have probably the single best grunt, who is Stolt. He is in...
Is he the one in Contact Harvest?
No, he is from the short story in Fractures. The one about the shipmaster ship. Why can I not think of the name? Okay, a quick Google search. I am thinking of Shadow of Intent. So that is like quite a substantial short story in Fractures. And Stolt is basically the most badass grunt you've ever seen. He is massive, he is powerful. His claim to fame is that he almost beat a Spartan 2 to death in combat.
I mean, that is a grunt I want to meet.
Oh yes, he is ahead of one of the elite ranger squads on the Shadow of Intent. Elites follow his orders, that's how good he is. He is absolutely a badass grunt that could totally hold a novel up in his own right.
Him and Yap Yap the Destroyer.
Yeah, and if you had like a grunt like that, you know, if a grunt like that was the lead of the Grunt Rebellion, you could have a good story there as well. Like, there's good potential with him. I would love to see something like that.
Okay, so next we've got Amato, and he says the grunts as well because of how funny their dialogue is in Infinite. And yeah, all the beacons that you have to destroy, the propaganda towers, they are absolutely hilarious, especially when you destroy more of them. Like, they get more frantic as the game goes on.
Yeah, I do appreciate how it changes on and on as you go. The grunts are a good species. I like them. Like, they are the comic relief sometimes, but they're enjoyable.
Isn't Joseph Staten the voice of the grunts too?
Joseph Staten has done voice work on the grunts, yep. So he has done quite a bit of those. I think he's got lines in Infinite as well. So he's got voice work on those. I think the older grunts are his as well. I can't remember what game he bowed out on. That was probably Reach, but they didn't speak English in Reach. So Halo 3 or ODST was probably his like last voicing the grunts before that.
Okay.
Right, last one. Ugh, this guy. Aaron Campbell says, I'm going to go with the brutes because they can grow mohawks, although probably actually hunters because they're so versatile. Mohawks are pretty cool, you have to admit.
Yes, they are absolutely the only race, well, besides, I guess, humans that can do the mohawks. Especially Tartarus. Tartarus has a dope-ass mohawk.
Yeah, so, like, they grow mohawks. They're utterly terrifying. They are giant space gorillas. Like, what more do you need? I do think the hunters probably, like, they have the more potential as a species in Halo, and that's probably why I like them a lot. And when you have the likes of Colony in Halo Wars 2 who speaks, so it's more than the usual grunts and like rumbles, but either of those two I quite like.
I would agree. But then I would say you have like brutes like Atriox who like defied the Covenant, and like he is one of the most interesting brutes like in the entire series, especially like him getting some of the like his massive flagship like on his side. Like if I remember correctly, he didn't really like fight the guy. Like he kind of just convinced him to join his side. Like kind of a badass who can convince an elite to join the brutes.
And like he took out humanity's greatest warship in a couple of minutes, so he's definitely like he has been hyped way up as an impressive enemy in the Halo universe, which is why we will probably never actually end up killing him. But the brutes are good. They're stomping on the heels of a fuss is good as a good terrifying insight into them. The same with Contact Harvest. You get a good look into brutes and how they are and how they behave. You know, when they're sort of at the start of Halo 3, when they're going for that, like, running through the jungle and you can hear the brutes screaming and shouting off in the distance and stuff and calling to each other. They have good potential as a scary, menacing enemy, and they take a lot to actually put down. And then hunters, because see all the reasons I said earlier.
Absolutely.
All right, I think that'll do us for that. We only have a little bit of digest stuff. There's basically only going to be one thing I'm going to talk about, apart from the Pro Talk guys. Mission Debrief is currently wrapped and finished. There will probably be a few more things to discuss down the line. I'd say at some point we were talking about I'm going to volunteer and maybe do an episode with the guys and do some co-op campaign, because it's been a while since I've been on Mission Debrief, so when that launches officially, I might see if the guys fancy a little muck around on that and do some 4-player madness and talk about it. Apart from that, they're there for the minute. We have our ongoing Infinite Impressions. We have to decide on the next episode. I have to sit everyone down now during the week and get that sorted. So when we decide what we're up to going forward, we'll let you know. As we said, Halo TV Plus, currently on hiatus. I have to get talking to Oren. I have an idea for going back to the TV show maybe before Christmas and just rewatch the series and see how we feel giving it another binge watch. See if our thoughts or feelings have changed any as time's gone on.
Especially now that you know what's going to happen and what's going on, you can see if you can pick other things out in the show that you wouldn't have maybe picked out the first viewing.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we'll get a bit more information down the line anyway. I know I follow Pablo Scryer on Instagram, and he's either having holidays around Europe or he's filming. He's usually doing one or the other, so he's there. He's getting season 2 done at the minute, so we should hopefully start to get some stuff down the line. So I look forward to that. Our next book club is going to be the Rubicon Protocol. So like we said, that book comes out on the 9th of August. You'll be able to pick up your paper, digital, audiobook version of it and give that a read. And it will probably be later in the month, because normally we record a book club in the middle of the month, but we will probably push it back closer to the news for August so that we have a bit more time to cover that. So that'll be our next book club. And then we have, I believe, the rest of the year, because the other novel is delayed, we will be wrapping up the Fracture story. So that will take us right the way up to Christmas. And then we will be up to date, I think, on everything Halo. We have covered, with the exception of the Spartan Field Manual and a few things, we will have covered every bit of printed media that the Halo universe has to provide for us, which has only taken several years, but we get there.
They just need to make more things come out within the next year, or at least in the next 6 months, so that we don't run out of things to talk about.
No, I would like to get back to the good old days of a book every 2 to 3 months. If we could get a novel rolling every couple of months, would be fantastic. They don't even have to be current day Halo, but I would love to get back to that sort of around the time of Halo 4 when the novels were just dropping all the time. If they're not direct required reading to keep an eye on what's happening in the universe current day, I think that just leaves a lot of the pressure off everyone. So we'll see how that goes. And lastly, we have our partnership with HCS Pro Talk. Like we said, every week Josh and Will discuss the latest information within the competitive scene in Halo. Map Legends will be coming back when Oren reappears. He's currently working hard. He's doing early prep for whatever show they're currently recording, so he's quite busy at the minute. Go and follow him on Instagram if you want. You can stalk him like I do. And then we also have Inside the HCS, which Josh and Will record for us every month, which we're going to play now.
Hello, Podcast Evolved audience, and welcome to Inside HCS, your monthly recap of all things Halo esports, presented by us, none other than HCS Pro Talk, your weekly Halo esports podcast. For this segment, we'll be recapping the HCS news and competition for the month of July 2022. But before we get into the recap, let's begin with a little introduction into what exactly is the HCS. The HCS, or Halo Championship Series, is the umbrella in which all Halo competition lives under. The 21-22 HCS season is in full swing, and for a complete breakdown of the timeline for official events around the world, please see the HCS 21-22 season reveal article over at Halo Waypoint. If you want an easier-to-digest blog post outlining everything about the 21-22 HCS season, Maddie Rums of Noob Combo has published one over at noobcombo.com. For all major announcements from the HCS team over at 343 Industries, please make sure to follow their Twitter account at HCS and their new official YouTube channel by searching for Halo Esports. Now, Roster Mania is finally coming to a close, and King of the Hill is getting some competitive updates. It's time for a news recap. For Roster Mania updates, we have Xset officially leaving Halo, Rami signs with Fnatic, Barcode leaves the Australia-New Zealand region to join the G2 roster in North America. Boo Boo Doobu signs with G1. Bound sides with Cloud9. Suspector and Manny sign with E United. And what is supposedly going to be the absolute God squad, but we'll see how things pan out. Renegade and Spartan sign with FaZe. Stats are on Halo Waypoint. Well, kinda. So, stats are finally on Waypoint in some capacity. Now you can see various lifetime stats, a graph showing your performance over the last 20 matches, and your medals collection. So yeah, we've got a long way to go. But hey, progress. Now, for King of the Hill, the overtime rules have officially changed for competitive King of the Hill. And instead of providing a poorly worded rendition of the changes, I'll just read what the wonderful Hines has provided. And he states, beginning with the North American Super, more on that later, we are changing the restart conditions for King of the Hill. The new rule states that if a match ends in a tie, the replay match will be a full replay, 1st to 4. Now, if that replay also ends in a tie, the next replay will be 1st to 2 points wins. And there will also be an adjustment made to the in-game settings for King of the Hill when the August drop pod lands later this month. These changes are as follows. The sudden death game state has been completely disabled. And the OT time extension triggers if a game is tied at the end of regulation. That means 1 minute in arena, 2 minutes in ranked. And no matter the score, the next hill would now win. Hey, there's new HCS merch on the way. Tashi has stated that the brand new HCS gear collection, as well as exclusives for Orlando and Halo World Championship, are coming. And we couldn't be more excited. Our wallets, on the other hand, not so much. And with the news wrapped up for the month of July, let's get into some tournament highlights. The HCS Mexico Regional. The best teams in the Mexico region fought for their share of $50,000 in what was assumed to be an easy win for the Pittsburgh Knights. Turns out, Cinternegra had other things in mind, and they planned on winning the entire thing, but unfortunately for them, the Knights ascended to become kings within their region, winning the event in dominant fashion. The HCS North American Super, in what was possibly the greatest online Halo tournament of all time, and maybe in my opinion, the best teams in North America duked it out for the lion's share of $125,000. Roster Mania has finally concluded, which means it was finally time to see where teams stacked up against one another as we inch closer to the next major LAN event in Orlando. The team that shocked the world was none other than G1, making an unbelievable losers bracket run, eliminating 3 of the top 4 teams in the world, including E-United, Cloud9, and Sentinels. But their Cinderella story would eventually come to an end in the grand finals against Optic Gaming, who proved to be just too much for G1 to overcome. Optic Gaming won the series in a close 4-0 and only lost a single map during the entire tournament to become your HCS North American Super Champions. Now, while we all would have preferred for this tournament to be over LAN, players were able to get some good practice in, all while competing for some big money. Orlando is right around the corner in September, and the competition at the top is just getting more and more diverse, which is always a good thing. Now, the final 2 major LANs of the year are coming up in September and October, but we've got one more regional to look forward to. The HCS Melbourne Regional. The final regional event of the year is upon us, and this time, it is to put a spotlight on the Australia-New Zealand region. Taking place at the DreamHack Melbourne event, this tournament is going to feature the best the region has to offer in a LAN environment. But what are the teams actually playing for? The lion's share of $50,000 and 3 coveted pool play spots at the HCS Orlando Major. The top 2 teams to be paying attention to include Divine Mind and the Chiefs. Now, while Barcode may have left the region for potential greener pastures in the US, these teams are still absolute forces to be reckoned with within the region. And thanks for joining us on this edition of Inside HCS for July 2022. If you're interested in finding out more about these tournaments or anything else in the competitive Halo space, please check out HCS Pro Talk on all socials, YouTube, Twitch, and anywhere you happen to find your podcasts. Podcast Evolve crew, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Josh and Will, for this month's Inside the HCS. Watch their show live Monday nights around 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. It's twitch.tv/HCS Pro Talk, and follow them on YouTube and your favourite podcast feeds of choice. I think that'll do us for this week. That's a fairly decent episode. Now, provided that all of our recordings aren't absolutely ruined when we find out that we screwed all our setups up, this will have been a good episode.
Who are we blaming? Are we blaming you, Aaron? Because it seems to be you. It's always having audio issues.
You could blame me if you want, but we could blame Ian on your microphone recommendation. Either will work.
All right, let's go with Ian.
That's okay. Ian, this is all going to be your fault if it happens, so we'll let you know. Alright guys, once again, thank you for joining us. Like we mentioned at the top of the show, you can find all of our episodes over on the website, evolvedhalo.com. You can get all of the unique feeds, and you can go to our store and buy some merch. Get yourself a nice t-shirt. The ones in the UK store are quite nice. Do like them. If you want to listen to everything all in one place, just follow Halo Podcast Evolved on your podcast service of choice. Once again, special shout out to all of our patrons. Thank you for supporting us and help make everything possible. Head to patreon.com/evolvedhalo to learn more. And finally, if you want to leave us a voicemail about this episode or any other episode, we haven't had voicemails in a while, don't be afraid. Leave us a voicemail. We'll listen to it. We'll play it on the show as well. Unless you don't want to play it on the show. If you just want to talk to us, you can do that too.
Listen, my friends have figured out that there is a voicemail, and I am going to warn them right now during this podcast that they better be careful of what they say, because they said they were going to troll the crap out of me. So we'll see what happens. I said I wouldn't play any of their voicemails.
We screen them all anyway, but if Lucas's friends are listening, I will forward them on to Lucas. That's alright. I do also believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I think you can text the number as well. I know that Giant Bomb get texts as well as voicemails, so try it out and see what happens. Text the voicemail number. That's 205 Evolved, 205 386 5833. And with that, I have been your host, Aaron, and until next time, Evolved.
Evolved.